So I just start the recording there. And Bala, are you ready to go?
Yep.
Okay, I'm going to pass over to you and I'll mute myself now.
Hi all. Good morning and good evening. So here now I'm going to demo that 2.4 features. The 2.4 is mainly the two main features are contains one is the workflow template, which will reduce rewriting most templates. So which is done contributed by Jann. He is also online, so he's going to demo that workflow template. And the next feature is a persistence. Persistence is the supporting that secondary database, so that all the workflow object will live long. So let me go ahead and describe that the persistence feature, which I'm going to demo that. Then Jann will take over that the workflow template. Okay. Let me share my desktop. So everybody can see my screen. Okay. So far, the Argo workflow is using a persistence as a etcd. So we are storing that all the workflow in the etcd, and most of time the etcd gc will garbage collect that completed workflow or a failed workflow in some time. So the people are requested, they want to see that workflow in long, they want to see that for the configured time, so that we started looking into the persistence options. So we come up with a supporting a Postgres and MySQL, and that library will support the MongoDB also. So objectives of the persistence is supporting the long living workflow resources, and another one thing to support the large workflow, which is offloading a etcd load to the DB, so that there is a flag you can offload your node status, that entire node status outputs to the DB. It won't store it into etcd, so that etcd, the 1 MB limit will be keep it. That's another feature in that persistence, and this will support a Postgres and MySQL. The 2.4 will support the centralized DB configuration. That means the 1 DB for all the namespaces. Okay. So how we can configure persistence in our workflow? So same thing like our Artifactory. So we need to configure in that workflow controller config map. The DB secrets will be stored into the workflow controller namespace. And there is a flag called node status offload flag. Will be supported in the backend only, but will not be supported in the CLI and the Argo UI. So here are the configurations. You can see that the persistence, you can define your config pool, sorry, connection pool, and node status offload flag. Then you can specify whether you are Postgres or MySQL. Here I have example of Postgres. I have host, port, which database, and the table name, and the user and user secret and a password secret. Once you configure this one, then your workflow will be ready for the persistence. So in my environment, I have running a Postgres, which has Argo as a database, and the table is already created, Argo workflow. That all the informations what kind of all the DDL statement and configuration statements in our Argo, the PR. Let me open that. So you can see that there is a example configurations for MySQL as well as Postgres, and the table definition for both. You can just copy and run it. So I already created for you guys so that I have a database running and the table is already created. And let me show so that so I already created the persistence with my username and password and my host and everything. So now that the workflow is connected with the database, let me run one workflow. Which is running. If you see here, you can see that the third one is already created, and which has like a workflow name and which phase, what is the namespace you are running on this workflow, and what is the entire workflow JSON is here. Like which will have like all the node status with output, all the things. Then it will have like a start time and end time. So that's all the persistence. Let me go back to here. Do you have any doubt on the persistence? Hello? I assume there is no doubt or questions. Let me go back next slide, which is like a Argo roadmap. So 2.4 release, the release candidate one is already released on last week. So you guys are already trying that. 2.4 stable release going to be released in end of August. Probably like there is a few minor features PRs are waiting. So once Jesse's come back, myself and Jesse will review and merge it and a few bug fixes. Once it's done, we will release the stable 2.4 release. Then the next release will be a major release, which is consist of like a API server and CLI support with the persistence and Argo UI. Sorry, there is a UI is missing. So UI also will support the persistence, which we are planning for November 2019. This API server, it's additional information. This API server will enable us to develop the SDK for that all the languages. API server is developing the gRPC, so we can develop that SDK for like a Java, .NET, and everything. So that's all from my side. Do you have any questions or anything? If not, I can hand over to Jann to demo that workflow template.
Perfect.
Yep. Hi, Jann.
Hi. Hi. Hello? Can
I think
can
you
hear
are
me?
mute.
Hello? Can you hear me? No?
I can hear you.
Okay, good. What about others? Good?
Yeah, you mute. Are you mute?
I'm mute.
I mean, your volume.
Hello? Are you ready?
Yes, you are ready.
Okay,
Go.
good. Okay, this is Daisuke Taniwaki. My name is Daisuke. The pronunciation is a little bit hard for you, maybe. Daisuke from Preferred Networks in Japan. And today, I'd like to introduce the WorkflowTemplate CRD, which I implemented a while ago. In this demonstration, I'd like to explain the structure of the workflow template first, and then I'll show you a simple example and a few complicated examples. Okay, let me share my screen. This one. Can I see the screen terminal? Good?
Yep.
Okay. Okay, so first, I put several examples in the examples directory here. Yeah, and here's a workflow template manifest. Okay, so the structure of the workflow template CRD is very simple. It just contains the templates, which is the same as the one in the workflow CRD. And I added to refer to a template in workflow template resource. You can use this one, template ref, which I newly added. And in the template ref, you can specify the name of a workflow template resource, and then the template name of the workflow template. So this one means say template of the workflow template say template workflow template. Sorry, it's it's very long. Yeah. Okay, and okay. So as you may know, a template can have input parameters like this. In this workflow template, this template, it has input parameters of the message. You can pass this parameter by like argument parameters of referring to template. Okay, so I will show you a simple example now. Okay, I also added a template subcommand in the Argo CLI, so you can validate your workflow template before creating. So example workflow templates. Okay. Oh, sorry. Create should be create, and then you can see what template you have by this command. Okay. So now let's try a simple example. Hello world. So in this workflow, the entry point is say, and say template has template ref, which refers to the template of say template of workflow template say template workflow template. Okay, well, which is the one I introduced to you just now. Okay, and the argument parameter is hello. Sorry, this should be hello world. Yeah, hello world for the message parameter. So the template should print hello world. I think I should show the template again just in case. Yeah, it prints input parameter, the message of input parameters with say command. Say command is just like echo command. Okay, let's try it. You can submit the manifest with the same command argo submit as usual. Yeah, and then yeah, it's running. Yeah, it's complete. Okay, it's succeeded. And then check the logs workflow template. Yeah, it printed hello world. Okay, then let's try just changing the message the message parameter with hello world again, and then yeah, it should print hello world again. Give me 10 seconds. Okay, looks yeah, hello world again. Good. And then let me show you more complicated examples like nested. This manifest is very complicated. Like it starts from the say template as usual. And then the say template refers to the say template of workflow template nested template. Let's check this template, workflow template. Oh, by the way, please remember the message parameter is hello. Okay, and then workflow template and templates here. Okay, here's the workflow template. And where is the say template here? Okay, and this template refers to say inner template, which is a local template of this resource just above here. Say input, yeah, this one. Oh, this one. Okay, and the template receives message parameter, and it passes message parameters with another hello combined. Okay, and then this inner template receives the message parameter, and then it also refers to another template of another workflow template. So it's nested 4 times. Okay, and it passes the message parameter with another hello, so 3 hellos. And then finally, the resolved template becomes this one, the one I used last time. Okay, and then let's try Argo. Okay. Oh. Okay, and then check the output. Hello, 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 like this. Okay, and I also prepared some more complicated examples like DAG steps and some other retry with steps. Yeah, if you are interested, please take a look of these examples later. So that's pretty much about the workflow template CRD. Do you have any questions or feedback? No? Good. Oh, someone is messaging us. Where are those examples? Oh, these examples are located in the examples directory of the Argo repository. Okay. Found it. Yes, just there. Currently, the Argo UI doesn't support this workflow template CRD feature, but I will. There are a few issues related to the Argo UI problem, so I will implement the feature for the UI soon. Okay. Good.
Yeah, that's great.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's a cool feature in Argo workflow side.
Thank you. So let me back the screen to you.
Okay.
How can I stop the sharing? Oh, here they are. Okay. Good.
Okay. That's all from the workflow side on 2.4. Let me hand over to Alex. Danny?
Yep. So, hi everyone. I'm Danny Thompson. I am one of the engineers on ArgoProj at Intuit. And today I'm going to talk about one of the projects that our intern worked on. So we were really lucky this summer to have a intern. And so what we tasked our intern to do was to basically take on one of these CRD extensions. In case if you haven't heard about this, we want to keep Argo CD as unopinionated as possible. And so we've gotten requests in the past for certain functionality that we thought was very valid, but we were hesitant to introduce to Argo CD because we're afraid that the use cases that they were trying to solve weren't necessarily applicable to all users. So that, and coupled with the fact that if those features get rolled into Argo CD, those features that usually will want to have probably a little bit more of a faster pace than kind of the current release cadence of Argo CD would be tied to the Argo CD release schedule. So we kind of talked and then eventually came up with the idea for creating the ArgoProj Labs. And so we thought that these 4 examples that I have listed would be perfect candidates for the lab. We decided to have our summer intern work on the token CRD. And so I will kind of just do a quick demo of that and kind of show it off. And so right now we don't have it in the ArgoProj Labs repo yet, but we'll probably transfer that by the end of the week. So here's our current code base. We built the controller using KubeBuilder, which is a little bit of a transition away from what we've been using for ArgoProj, but in this case for a self-contained project, it worked out pretty well. But before I kind of dive into it, I think it might, or at least it makes sense to kind of give an example of what the user would have to do beforehand. So the token CRD is trying to basically automate the process of creating JWT tokens through Argo CD. The current process is entirely imperative, and there's no way to kind of do this declaratively. As a result, someone has to either run a bunch of CLI commands or go through the UI. So just to kind of give an example, let me jump into a project. So here, you would click the project that you want to create in JWT. You go to a role. Let's just create a new role. Let's call it demo. Give it the permissions that we want. And so sync. And so let's say, in this case, we just want the this demo role only to have read access and to deny sync access. So then from there, we would create the role. And within the role, to create a JWT token, we'd have to enter in some time frame here. So say 1 hour, click OK. And then the token's issued, and we'd have to go store this token somewhere. We kind of took a look at that and decided that this process isn't kind of solving all of our users' kind of requests, and it isn't really in line with the declarative nature of Kubernetes. So with this token CRD project, we decided to kind of take these steps and automate it through a controller. So now what users have to do is they can submit a YAML looking similar to this, where they specify, right here, we're creating a token object with the name, and then we specify, okay, what project do we want to create this token in, and what role, or at least what project and role we want to create this JWT token in. Specify an Argo CD endpoint that we want to hit to create the endpoint, because we still need to talk to Argo CD in order to create that token. Provide a expires in time, so you give information on how long this credential should live, and also allow you to refresh that credential when it expires automatically. And finally, the seek ref is where you're going to store the token. And so now if I do an apply of this resource, cool. And now if I get secret, you can see this CI deployer is created. One of the main use cases we can kind of see for the token controller is to create tokens that your CI systems can use to talk to Argo CD. So now if I get that secret, and so here, the typical Kubernetes secret, and so if I just decode this, or at least this value, oops, sorry, not code, but decode, and I copy this value and I run an Argo CD app get guestbook auth token. You can see that works. And now when I run a sync, similar to the last role that I created, this will fail because we intentionally denied permission to sync. You can see that failed. If I were to go into the role, you can see we have this token generated here, and we can see we have the deny permission. So if I were to change this to allow, update, and run this one more time, it is able to do it safe. And so that is a brief demo of the token controller that will automate or provide a declarative way to create your JWT tokens. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. When will the token be recreated? So at this point, the token will be created as soon as it expires. If you delete the token, does it delete the secret? So the token, right now, the token will only be recreated when the token expires. Something we want to add in the future is the ability to refresh a token before it expires. So you could say, like a day before, create a new token and replace the secret so that you don't have this kind of brief, like very small period where the token could be expired. To the next question, if you delete the token, does it delete the secret? No, we intentionally did not have the token kind of take ownership of the secret because we thought that users would potentially want, or at least like users would want to add these token CRDs to already existing secrets. And so we took more of a HPA approach where the secret doesn't, or at least the secret is kind of independent to the token. And so if you were to delete the secret, though, the token would recreate that secret and only populate the field listed there. Any other questions? All right, I'll pass it on to Alex then.
Hi, Danny. Thank you. Oh, hang on. Sorry about that. Okay, third time lucky. Okay, so I hope you guys enjoyed those Argo Workflows and Argo Labs demo. Those of you who've been working on Argo CD know there's been a lot of changes around how we do certificates and the like, and behind a lot of that work has been Jann, who's been writing at that. And I've asked Jann today if he could give us a little demo to show some of those features off to the community. So Jann, do you want to take that away?
Sure. So how does it work? Do I have to click something?
That little green button at the bottom?
Right, there it is. Okay, so hi everyone. My name is Jann. I'm a solution architect for a German-based luxury car brand by day and a happy open source hacker by night. So this combination brought me to Argo CD and to the feature I'm just about to present to you. First thing, show you something that is already available in the latest release candidate. So this is a vanilla installation of version 1.2.0 RC1. And yeah, I'm doing the live demo on the UI, and I also show the features I implemented in the CLI. And if there's some time left, I'll also show you the Kubernetes objects for the declarative setup. So let's go. Everyone who has tried to connect self-hosted repositories in the past might have hidden the fact that it was really painful to connect to self-hosted repositories or to repositories Argo CD does not And the first thing I want to show you is the repository connection feature that I gave a little overhaul. I divided it into two distinct parts. The first one lets you connect the repository using SSH. Let me show you. I set up a little repository server on my local machine. I have to connect as root. Don't try this at home. And the first new thing is that you also can now specify your SSH private key. For this, we have to paste it into the UI. So, and what happens when we click connect? It says the key of the server is unknown. So this is what usually happens when you try to connect a private repository server. And the first thing you can do, I'd not recommended this in production, but you can tell Argo CD to skip the server verification. So ignore the unknown host key, and you can connect the repository. You can create a little application from this. Let's call it guestbook demo 1. So let's cluster namespace called demo 1. Create it. Sync it. And then it's done. So this was basically this was possible before. The new thing is that you can connect the SSH repository using the UI, and the real new thing is the HTTPS stuff. So also here you can 443 so give it a username, a very creative password, and so this is basically what you have seen before: certificate signed by unknown authority. We could also now skip the TLS server certificate verification, which obviously is also not recommended. So I can show you a better way. We can just add either the server certificate or the certificate of the authority that has signed the certificate to Argo CD. For this, we just click Add TLS certificate. It's important that you give the correct server name. So in this case, my server is named repo server, and we can now paste the certificate. So we use this one. This is actually a CA certificate. So we paste it. Oh, that was the wrong one, sorry. Should copy it, paste it, then we can create it. You can see in this list which certificates actually are known to Argo CD. In the first column, this the server names. In the second column, we have the certificate type. It can be SSH or it can be HTTPS. And finally, in the third column, there's some additional information about the certificate or the known host key. In case of SSH keys, it's the SHA 265 checksum. And for TLS certificates, it's the common name stored in the certificate. So now we can go back and try to add our HTTPS repository. It's on repo server 9443 demo CD apps. That's username admin with a very creative password, and then we can click on connect. And it says repository not found because it was the wrong path. But now we could edit, and then we can just create an application. Guestbook demo 2 from guestbook. Demo 2 created. Check sync. So there it is. Okay, let's delete it again. Of course, the same is possible for the SSH known hosts. When we just disconnect these repositories and this SSH repository. So we can also click on add SSH known hosts. The difference is that you don't have to specify a server name here because it's all already stored in the SSH known hosts data. I can show you how to conveniently get it. You can use just SSH key scan and let it scan, for example, the repo server. I just take this output, copy it, paste it into this field. We have to make sure that there's no copy and paste error. For example, sometimes it might paste with line breaks depending on your terminal settings. You must absolutely make sure that there are no line breaks in the key data, and then we can click on create, and we see it has added the 3 entries which were given from SSH key scan. So the RSA key, the NIST P265, and the ED whatever key. So, and then we can go ahead and connect our repo using SSH. So again, give it our SSH private key. So this time we don't check the skip server verification and just connect the repo, and there it is. And we can check it out. Guestbook 3. Sufficient. So click sync. Sync synchronize it. And voila, there it is. Right. So that's basically the UI functionality around certificate management and connecting repositories. There is another feature in the HTTPS repositories that I can also show you. We now support TLS client certificates for connecting to the repository server. Basically, I have set up another Nginx instance on the same machine on a different port. Repos. Oops. So what now happens is if you click connect, the Nginx tells you error 400. It does not really tell you verbose that it's expecting client certificates, but we can give it client certificates and a client key. I think it's test client, this one. Certificate, and we have to give it also the key. One thing to note is that the private key must not be protected with a password. This is something not yet implemented. And then we can connect it. Was it? Oh, it's wrong. I didn't paste the key, I pasted the certificate again. So this is the key. And there we have it. And I won't create an application now from it because I want to show you the command in the CLI. So basically, it's the Argo CD cert command. It has the same functionality as in the UI, so you can add an SSH known hosts file very conveniently. I'll show you later on. Add TLS, this is for adding TLS certificates for connecting HTTPS repositories. You can, of course, list all the certificates that are stored in Argo CD. And so we can also remove certain certificates. If I say, if I would specify only the host name, it would remove all the hosts, all the certificates for this host name. We can further narrow it down by saying just remove them certificate type SSH, and it removes the known hosts. Or we can say HTTPS, and then we remove the HTTPS TLS certificate. So there's one convenient way with the CLI to add the SSH known hosts. You can just what I've shown you before. So you can pipe the output of SSH key scan to the add SSH in batch mode, and then basically it pipes it to the cert command, and they will get added. Or of course you can use an existing known host file. You can, for example, I think the batch is mandatory from do we have I don't even have a known host file, but you could just have the command read it file, or you can pipe it in. Same goes for the TLS command. So you can have it read from a file, and I think that's about it. You have some new switches for the repo add subcommand. So you can use insecure skip server verification to turn off TLS certificate verification. You can specify the client certificates that Argo CD should use to connect to your repositories. Yeah, and that's pretty much about it. Questions?
Does anybody have any questions for Jann?
No? Okay, so then.
Cool. Jann, thank you very much for giving that demo.
Yeah, thank you for the.
Yeah, it's a much requested feature from people, and obviously quite a challenge to implement this. So that's brilliant. Thank you very much. What I'm going to do is we're only about 5 more minutes. I'm sure people have got other places they need to go to. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to share my screen. This one, I think. Just to check, can you see? I'm going to change tab in a second, so I apologize for that. What I'm just going to do is show you a couple of kind of usability enhancements we've brought into version 1.2. So let's move that out of the way, shall we? So anybody who's been following this, what are we looking at? We're looking at the. Oh, sorry, that's an unrelated message I got. Sorry. Anybody who's been kind of following us, version 1.2 is kind of focused a bit on. We were focused a bit on like usability enhancements, so making Argo CD kind of easier to use. But if you want to go and delve deep into it, you can go and have a look in GitHub releases, and you'll see all the various kind of things that have appeared in there. There's some quite cool stuff such as Git LFS support, and also kind of auto completion, which is really handy to be able to use. I'm just going to show you a couple of quick features. What was I going to show you guys? Remind myself. Okay, I want to show you status badge feature. So one of the new features we've got is the ability to display a status badge. It looks a bit like this. To use this feature, you need to enable it in the config map because it is read only, but that means anybody can do it. And basically, you can go into your application and you'll get a status badge appearing on the URL, just API for status badge, and you can use that, for example, in your README and along with other those status badges, which I think is a pretty kind of fun little feature. I'm also going to show you a couple of user interface improvements here. So this is version 1.2 running on my local machine. And this is the standard guestbook application. Now, if you go into the guestbook application, you'll now see that alongside the sync status here, it tells me that the actual version of the Git repository that my application is out of sync was. And that should give me a little bit of an indication of what's going to happen should I press the sync button. I can get a further indication by looking at this app diff view here. So if I click on this, it'll show me the differences between the deployed application and the expected application. I can choose to have compact diff as well, so that just brings the differences really kind of front and center for me. And then if I click sync, I'll see that the synchronization has occurred. They're pretty standard stuff here. And I can see now it also tells me which version of the app that I've synced to there as well. So these are just kind of like little improvements. It should make it easier to kind of understand what's going to happen with the sync view. I'm only going to show those. I'm going to stop sharing now. Does anybody have any questions about other features in 1.2 they'd like to know about? Absolute silence. Brilliant. Okay. Well, if you do have any questions, you can obviously always ask them in the Slack room in Argo CD, or if you want to see what's coming up in 1.2 and 1.3, just pop over to GitHub and have a little look there. And what I'll do is I'm going to create a video of this meeting on YouTube, so you guys can have a look, and just ask one more time. Does anyone have any questions or anything they want to talk about before we wrap up? Everybody's keen to either get to their dinner or to get to their breakfast, depending on which continent you are. Absolutely fine. Great. Okay, thank you very much, everybody. Have a lovely day.
Bye-bye.